This is History on Point, bringing you Han Emperors in China.
The Qin dynasty eventually collapsed, and civil war broke out. Out of this civil war, two leaders emerged, Zhang Yu and Liu Bang. In 202 BC, Liu Bang fought against Zhang Yu and won, declaring himself the first emperor of the Han dynasty. The Han dynasty is separated into two periods, the former Han and the later Han. Each ruled for about 2 centuries. Liu Bang created a centralized government where one person controls the running of a state and softened many harsh laws and punishments. Liu Bang died in 195 BC, leaving his son as ruler. However, his son was too young to rule, so Empress Liu Bang's wife, ruled for him. She continually declared infants as emperors and ruled for them. She died in 180 BC, and Liu Bang's great-grandson Wudi took over. Wudi ruled longer than any other Han emperor. One of Wudi's enemies were the Xiongnu from northwest China, fierce nomad archers on horseback. Wudi tried to bribe the Xiongnu with gifts to get them to stop their raids, but they would take the gifts and continue their raids. Wudi finally fought the Xiongnu and forced them to retreat. By the end of Wudi's rule, he expanded the Han territory to almost the size of China.
The Chinese believed that the emperor had the mandate of heaven. He was the link between heaven and earth and was expected to rule well in order to bring prosperity. The Chinese government consisted of thousands of people relying on various forms of taxes to support their rule. Confucianism influenced the government ideals and learning. Wudi employed the public with 18 different ranks of civil service jobs and government jobs, which civilians got by taking tests. This system of civil service lasted until 1912.
Some technology advances during the Han included paper, collar harnesses, wheelbarrows, double-bladed plows, new iron tools, and water mills. Paper allowed for cheaper books, which furthered education and influenced the government. At its peak, the Han dynasty population grew to 60 million, which promoted agriculture. The government created monopolies in mining salt, forging iron, minting coins, and brewing alcohol. A monopoly is when a group has total control over the making and selling of certain goods. Silk was also a major product of China, and it had a high worldwide demand. The government promoted assimilation, or culture blending. Writing allowed for the unification of Chinese records and history. Sima Qian was given the title Grand Historian for being the Aristotle of his time.
Women were expected to lead quiet lives at home. They would work in the fields of their family farms. Some women would be able to have an education, and some even became powerful empresses. Over time, a huge economic gap began to form between the rich and the poor. The poor farmers were always in debt and had little land, when the rich farmers had lots of land and no debt. Wudi's successors were all incapable rulers until eventually Wang Mang, a Confucius scholar, rose to power. He tried to unite the empire, but his methods for doing so backfired and made him unpopular. Toward the end of his rule, a huge flood wiped hundreds of people out, starting a rebellion. Wang Mang's assassination marked the end of the former Han dynasty. The later Han dynasty started off well, but collapsed soon after due to the same problems Wang Mang had. It crumbled into 3 rival kingdoms.
And that concludes today's episode of History on Point.
See you all next week!